What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone, and welcome back to a transfer video. We don't have a sporting director, but we have a coach because it's basically been confirmed that Tudor is going to be the coach. So now the next thing is help him out massively because he's going to need help to compete with, in my opinion, better managers. You have Conte, you have Allegri right now. Inzaghi is gone. Inter are struggling to find a coach, so that there is an opportunity. However, the team needs to be improved. So we can talk about transfers, even though there's no real official sporting director. Now, one name that popped up is Antony, which we're going to talk about. There's an update on Kambiaso, and we're close to signing a player in the attack, but it's not one player we need in attack, it's multiple, and a surprise name has popped up that I actually want to discuss because the price is an issue. It's Ramos from PSG, but I don't think the quality is that much of an issue. So before we get into it, smash the like button. Like I said, it does help out the channel massively. So hit the like button right now, and let's start off talking with Antony. Okay, so Antony, I will read out the report first because it's coming from Felipe Silva for a Brazilian outlet, saying that he's been highly regarded by the club since the start of this season. So when he basically moved to Betis on loan from Manu, with the transfer window approaching, Juve are considering stepping up their interest. He has a contract until 27, so not that long of a contract, 1 year, and then he almost runs out. But he's unlikely to remain at Manu, and Betis cannot afford the money. However, I'm gonna say this: the other links are Dortmund and Betis. So right now, if Manu want to get rid of him, it's a loan, obviously a paid loan with payments up afterwards, whatever. But no club is gonna pay anywhere near close 30, 40, 50, 80, that which they pay for Antony. It's not going to happen. Now, when I said at the start of my video, Tudor is going to need help to compete with coaches who are better, teams who are better, and etc. This is not one of these guys. I liked Antony at Ajax. What he did at Manu was horrible. Now, everybody does horrible at Manu. There's only 2-3 players who kind of succeed at Manu since Fergie left. Other than that, they all struggle. And at Betis, he did well because there's no much pressure at Betis. Let's be completely honest. And it was good. The environment was good. No media pressure, no real fan pressure. It's all new, it's all fresh, and that's good for him. But we are trying to build something consistent. He's not consistent, nor do I believe he will ever be consistent. I don't think he's the type of player we need as well. The mindset, the way he is, and that's not to say he's a bad person or so, but looking at the issues we have in our squad, these are the players we should be keeping far away from. We should be staying far away from, excuse me, even on loan, as titles say, because those are kind of the news reports in general. If he leaves Manu, it's another loan deal and you pay afterwards. We cannot do loan deals anymore. We wasted too much money on loans. Conceição, Colomani, Vega, money we're not seeing back. Alcaraz last season, money that's gone. We burned that. That's about 40, 50 million close on loan deals. We're never going to see back that money. So those are the type of deals you can absolutely not do, not even entertain. Whatever you think about these players, we cannot entertain moving for Antony. That should be a one story and a done story. I don't want to talk about it once this summer. So here we go. But I use him as an example, not to say that I believe the news, but it's more about the type of deal and the type of players we cannot be linked to in the summer, nor should we go for. Now let's move on to Kambiaso, because Di Marzio broke the news, but there are more updates on there because Theo Hernandez is leaving, apparently to the Saudi. However, he's waiting. I think it was Al Hilal, but he's waiting for an offer from Atletico Madrid. However, Allegri said if he's leaving, and he is leaving, get me Kambiaso. Now, on Kambiaso, the club wants a lot of money. When I say a lot, you might think 80, no, it's 50, 60 million. Milan are not paying 50, 60 million for Kambiaso. That's one. Two, I don't think Kambiaso is going to join Milan. I don't think he wants to join Milan. I think he's still deeply saddened that he didn't get that move to Man City, and we've seen that in those performances. Three, I'm not convinced the club is willing to move him on. If the money is obviously not well, right? But in general, we have a lot of things that we need to fix. That backline is poor. It's really poor. The quality, obviously the injuries, we have a lot of question marks. How are Bremer and Cabal going to come back? Kelly is not good enough. Everybody knows that. Vega is gone. You have Rogani going back, but probably he cannot stay. Like, what is going to happen with Roberto Costa? Is he going to say what's going to happen with Savona? And even if they say, are they up to par? We need quality in that back line. And you cannot lose quality. And yes, Kambiaso has been poor, really poor. But man, we need to assume, and you kind of need to hope, you just had a complete off second part of the season because of obviously the transfer thing, and that's on him. That's on him. But also the injuries and so on. You just need to hope he comes good and he is a player we all believe he is, because we need him. If you move him on, you're going to need to replace him with what? We already have so many issues at the back. To add even more so, I don't think that's the way to go. So right now, that's the situation. Keep an eye on it. Not Milan, I believe. I will be absolutely shocked if we sell him to Milan and Milan pay up. The only way that happens if Milan offer 30 and the club is, yeah, we take 30. That's the only way I see that happening. But for now, keep that in mind. Now, Jonathan David, obviously I put Di Marzio's news out there, but it's been updated many times the last 48 hours, is that Napoli have cooled down their interest. Now, I've seen people say, why are Napoli cooling down his interest? Is it about money? Is it about his attitude? Whatever, etc. It's not about his attitude. Is it about money? Maybe. However, Napoli have been linked with Boni, with Luca, which kind of suggests to me that Conte is asking more for quote unquote like replacement for Lukaku, which David absolutely is not. I like Jonathan David for the right money, for the right fee and whatever. That's one. He cannot be the main guy. He just can't. It's impossible. He cannot be the main guy. Not that he's not going to score goals. He's going to score goals, but he's not a main guy. I think he's much, much better when you play with two up top and he can play off that player and he's not the focal point. Are you going to play with two up top? That's the question mark. I'm not really certain about that. If you let go of Colomani, Vlahovic, and Conceição and you're trying to sell Mbangula, then maybe, yeah, we could be playing with two up top, where that leaves Yildiz and Gonzalez. It remains to be seen, how we're going to do that. But Jonathan David had a good season. I think he had double-figure goals and assists, at Lille. So he can score goals. Is he the main guy that's gonna, shoot you to a title or Scudetto? No, he's not. Is he a reason you potentially could win? Is he part of a reason or part of the collective that gets you a title, whatever? Yeah, 100%. Because I think he will. Even if he comes in and he plays as a second striker, a bit like Thuram or like the second fiddle or whatever, and he gets 9 assists and 12 goals, that's good. That's compare that what we have right now. That's absolutely mind-boggling. It obviously it's not all depending on him. If we're gonna get those goals and assists, but still, it will be absolutely stunning, and he has those numbers at Lille. So. Let's see how that will go. But talking about strikers, a new name that popped up is Ramos. I don't want to talk about him because it's coming from Gazzetta dello Sport saying that he's added to the list. He scored 18 goals this season for PSG, but they won 50 million euros. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna go and say PSG paid between 70 and 80 for Ramos. I think they paid a lot of money for him and Colomani. We shouldn't be paying 50 million, because that's not a player, that's not the money we should be investing in Sergio Ramos. However, for the right amount, I do like him. Now, the thing is, I don't believe he's a number one, and that's where the issue is, because I like him. I like the way he strikes the ball. Is he a player that can get you 20 goals? I don't see that in him. I just don't see that in him. And that might be the issue, who is the right profile for us. but I do like him as a player. I really, really like him as a player, you know. And talking really quickly, I was talking about Kambiaso defenders. While I'm recording this, Di Marcio said that we are very interested in Leone from Parma, which we kind of knew, but you know we also need to look at the future. But that tells you also that we're gonna offload certain players. Now on the defense, really quickly before I wrap this one up, Diallo, according to Fabrizio Romano, he's on Crystal Palace list. Absolute flop from June to leave. We paid money when it was free. Completely flop. Disciplinary issues at Porto. We paid around 5 to 7 million euros, you know, for him to Lille. If you get that money back, fantastic. You know, he's not a good player. He just can't defend. He absolutely cannot defend. I've never seen a defender being that poor at defending. You know, so if you get him off the books, fantastic, because that was an absolute mistake. But the recap of the video is Tudor needs help, but it needs to be the right help. We cannot mess about with loans and projects and maybe 1 year it will work, stopgaps. We need players who can come in and take this club to a better level and help Tudor as well, because he's going to need help. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about Ramos, Antony, and Kambiaso. Do you think he might be leaving? Like the video, and I will speak to you guys later tonight for a live show. Ciao.